How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ruffled Rowlet, and welcome back to your brand new video, guys. So, one thing we know about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which hasn't been officially properly kind of explained yet, which is these future and past Pokemon forms, these Proto and Neo forms, if you want to call them that. Now, these forms of Pokemon, we already know which ones will be showing up in the base version of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, but remember, there is guaranteed, as we've learned from the Riddler coup, we've legitimately got information and confirmation that there is going to be a DLC coming next year. So this DLC can obviously feature more of these Pokemon, the same way that Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon that came out, they actually featured more Ultra Beasts, right? And the same way that in Pokemon Sword and Shield, you actually had more Galarian forms, including the Galarian birds, which was, Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres getting themselves Galarian forms. So the chance of there being more of these kind of Neo Pokemon or Proto Pokemon or future past forms or Paradox Pokemon, whatever you want to refer to them as, is highly possible. And we actually have a few ideas here that definitely are highly possible, that could possibly happen. Now, you might make the argument, oh, but if a Pokemon already is in the game, then it's highly unlikely we'll actually end up seeing it. Or if it's been said by one leaker or another leaker to not be in there, then it's impossible. But the thing is, things can always change. There's always a chance. And I thought we'd take a look at this one first and foremost. So, Neo Gyarados. This Neo Gyarados design is by Indigo Region, who put together a design that shows off what one could look like. Now, this would be a Neo version, so I'm guessing that would be a futuristic version of it. There'll be a water dragon type in this case still, and the ascended Pokemon. Its dex entry would be the following: after naturally evolving for millions of years, Gyarados have become the peak predator. They now resemble an almost completely different Pokemon, yet still just as if not more proud and aggressive. The gemstones on its body are known to symbolize danger, and if resembling jewelry, they also house this creature's immense draconic energy. Gyarados are now the superior creature of the ocean and use their boosted draconic power to take down prey. Basically, this is what would happen if Gyarados went all out and was just the most incredible version of itself. Now, think about how we have Koraidon and Miraidon and how they are the past and future versions pretty much of Cyclizar, right? Which is the middle Pokemon that we have in present time. Now, think of Gyarados and the way we have that, and this is what it would possibly look like in the future when it's just become the ultimate, the apex predator of the water, which I think honestly looks bloody amazing. This is also next another design by Indigo Region, which is of specifically Marowak. Now, what if Marowak in the future was to become more robotic? In this case, this design is really crazy. I'm going to be honest, it's one of the coolest things I've ever seen, and this would be a steel fighting type, which I think is also a very cool type combination, if that makes any sense. But I think it's a really cool one, as it's based on an alien hunter and Earth defenders and the Avengers, Star Wars, and the technology of the suits of armor, as well as ninjas and bodyguards. So it's got a little bit of everything in its concept, and overall, it shows you an idea of what a futuristic version, like a future version where humans have more or less kind of caused these Pokemon to change in a certain way to become like this. I mean, we already know that Pokemon does have this kind of strange evolutionary line that goes on, like outside of regular evolutions. We're not thinking about just a regular Pokemon Evo. There are other ways that Pokemon can change and be drastically different than what we normally know them as, and that's what these Paradox-esque type Pokemon are. I mean, just think about like all the Pikachu clones. They're maybe not directly connected, but indirectly they kind of are. The same way that real-life critters like a hamster, a rat, and a mouse do have some, like, cross kind of pollination in terms of their genes, if that makes any sense. So they're all somewhat connected, not 100%, but a little bit at least. Same way also that cats are directly connected and, somehow connected ancestry-wise to, tigers, lions, etc., as well as even like ancient creatures like the saber-tooth, tigers. So there's a direct connection right there, and I think this is a really cool concept for what, like, Marowak version would look like if it was straight up futuristic, with its bone now being replaced with a literal, like, laser sword almost, which I think is awesome. So yeah, a laser sword, a laser saber, lightsaber, whatever you want to call it. Nonetheless, I think it looks sick. Now, one of the coolest possible things that we could see, and this is a high chance of happening, is a potential Neo or Proto version of either Lugia and Ho-Oh. Now, in this case, we have a design here by Indigo again, which is for a Lugia, and what it would look like if there was a Proto version, a past version, where, like, how Lugias looked like maybe back in the day when they were a little bit more feral in their design, like when they were a little bit more aggressive in the wild, and this gives you an idea what that could have looked like. Now, why do I say that this is a highly possible one? Well, there is a big reason for it, and the big reason for it is specifically this. We already saw them doing something like this with Pokemon Sword and Shield's DLC the Crown Tundra. There we got the Galarian, Zapdos, Articuno, and Moltres. These guys were legendaries that got forms, okay? These were legendary Pokemon that got forms. These are legendaries. This is something that wasn't very common. I mean, we do have Shadow Lugia as an existing thing, but that was only really in a spin-off game, and the likeliness of that actually returning is a little bit iffy, let's just say it like that. Nonetheless, the idea of there actually being a straight-up version that's like a past version or future version of certain legendaries, we already know some of that's been confirmed. We know that Virizion is going to be getting one, and also another Pokemon, which is, I think, unless I'm wrong here, Suicune or Raikou. I think Raikou or Suicune, one of those is also getting a future or past form, either in Scarlet or Violet, in most likely the DLC. So what are the chances that there might also be a, Lugia version as well as a Ho-Oh version? Because I'm going to talk about this in a future video, but I highly think that in this generation, during Generation 9, we will be receiving another Pokemon remake, but this specifically will be about Johto, a Johto remake and a Johto Legends game, as it's been proven right now by the most recent games and by the most recent stuff we've seen from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, Pokemon Legends Arceus and Pokemon BDSP. They can literally release 2 Pokemon mainline games back to back. They straight up did that. They can release that back to back, and we can literally get 2 games like that right next to each other, and they will still be successful. So the potential for a Proto Lugia, I think, is actually highly possible. I mean, why the hell not, Why wouldn't you do that? This would be a Shadow Flying type. Of course, we could change that Shadow typing into a Dark typing or something. And of course, its inspiration is mainly from Shadow Lugia in this, ID. And yeah, what do you guys think about that? Next are 2 designs from Neula Draws. And Neula Draws basically drew 2 versions of 2 Pokemon, that being a Neo Remoraid, so a, futuristic version of a Remoraid that has a almost like digital-esque skull in this case, and its body is more metallic, and it is a psychic, I guess, water type in this case, as well as a Proto Skarmory. I was gonna say Mario. Proto Mario. No, a Proto Skarmory, which would be a ground type, and this one would be a Roadrunner Pokemon, so it does make sense that it would have this almost like dinosaur-esque looking design to it, making it a little bit more, regal and less kind of, I guess, metallic. If you think of regular Skarmory, it's just a straight-up metal bird. Now, what would the ancient version of it look like? I would assume less metally, and as it evolved, the version we see today is kind of almost like the, the Neo version of it in some way. So I wouldn't be surprised if they actually end up doing this with Skarmory. Skarmory is one of those Pokemon that just hasn't received much attention in any sort of way for the longest time. It's a very much forgotten Pokemon, so why not give it some extra love by actually getting it, to have a Proto version or something along those lines. And same goes for the Neo Remoraid. Why wouldn't you give the Neo Remoraid some extra love in this case and just make it look a little bit more badass and cool like this? And also a psychic water typing, I think, is pretty awesome. Also would be the plasma gun Pokemon instead of the water gun Pokemon, which it pretty much is today. So one I already mentioned earlier, but one that I think is pretty cool to talk about, is a Proto Raikou. Now we know that there's going to be some sort of Suicune love by an actual confirmed source, but we don't really know much about Raikou and the rest of the guys. So what about Entei and Raikou? Well, what if Raikou got one? It could look something like this. Now this would be an ice fighting type, also made by Indigo Region, and this one would be what a Raikou would have looked like 2 million years ago in this case. This would be, as I mentioned, an ice fighting type Pokemon. It would be the frozen Pokemon. And in ancient times, these Proto Raikou was this kind of mysterious incarnation of a Pokemon that tragically disappeared in a blizzard. So similar. So if you think about it, there is this theory about the evolutions dying in the burned tower and then being resurrected by Ho-Oh, and those being the 3 legendary dogs. Now imagine if Ho-Oh didn't just resurrect those ones, but resurrected other evolutions around the world. But depending on their location, their actual typing changes. So for example, a Raikou may have been created by Ho-Oh almost over in an icy mountain area somewhere because of the fact that it was there in that location. There was just, I don't know, a Jolteon that just passed away, and because of that, it was revived, and then we got ourselves what we have right here, a Proto Raikou that was an ice type, but this one died out over time, and now it's reappeared in our current times, which I think is a cool concept. And finally, a really awesome concept here by Ondure Region, or Ondu Region, which put together what a, I guess, potential Quagsire form could look like if it was a future form in this case. Now, of course, we do know that, of course, there's gonna be a brand new Quagsire evolution, so the likeliness of Quagsire receiving any form like this is a bit on the low end because we do have the regional Wooper and a brand new evolution for it that's not going to be related to Quagsire whatsoever. But what would be really cool is if we actually did get a Quagsire that in this case was a steel electric type that showed up from a different timeline or from the future in some way or shape and basically looked like a little spaceman in this case, which I think is a cool design. Nonetheless, Ondo Region did a great job on this one, but I just want to know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below, because there is not really much else I can add to on this design in particular. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for today's video, guys. If you did enjoy it, then drop a like down below. I'll be posting a second part to this video very soon, so thank you for watching. I appreciate you all. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much, and bye-bye.